Hey, I'm Steph.
I'm Alex.
And this is Not Today, our true survival story podcast.
About?
Survival. Sometimes we talk about wilderness survival. Sometimes we talk about true crime survival, which honestly is my favorite. And, sometimes we're going to talk about...
We're going to throw some
curveballs.
Some new shit
Curveballs.
Some curveballs?
Some curveballs. That's what I said.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
Inner New York coming out.
Well, that was a really shitty New York accent, but that's fine.
It's really trying to claw its way out of you, and it's not, came out bad.
That's okay. Sometimes it's bad.
So what happened this week?
Working. Just work.
A lot of working. What happened at work?
Oh,
there was mention of crystals.
Yes, one of my coworkers, I just find it so funny that like everyone in LA is like very much on the same page where they're like, I'm not religious, I'm just spiritual. I'm spiritual, man, like I'm with the energy, and like, and like the thing is like I'm a part of that shit. I love that shit.
You're in the woo.
Well, I mean, I'm not full woo, but at the same
full
time,
woo-woo.
I'm not though. I don't have any crystals, although I want one. I want some.
Before we moved into this apartment, you were talking about how would you feel if I got some crystals?
Listen, expose me, why don't you?
I don't care. I just don't think they work.
No, but it was just so funny because at work, one of the servers was talking to me, and she was talking about this crystal that like is super cleansing and it's really great, and it like charges itself, and it like, and the thing is I'm buying all of it.
It charges itself like an iPhone.
Listen to me, I'm buying all of it.
It does wireless charging.
I am picking up when she's putting down. But the funniest part is she pulls out that bitch from her apron. She pulls out the crystal. She whipped it out at work and said, "This crystal is so good. I keep it on me at all times." And I said, "Holy shit."
For the listeners, she's using her fingers to like show how big it is. It's like what, a foot?
No, it was like, I don't know, 4 inches.
That's a big crystal.
It was like,
so it was one of your servers.
Yeah.
So you know her.
Yeah. She's cool. I like her.
Oh, wow.
No, and the thing is like I said, I really enjoy it. I want to get into crystals. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. I like the energy. Like that shit's fun. That's fun.
All right, yeah. Do what makes you feel best. I just think,
Well, you're very much
I'm
not
very much an
that.
engineer, and I don't think it works. But here's where I'm stuck on the whole crystal thing. You're talking about it, that it charges itself. What does it charge itself with? What is the charging? Like, do you have to put it down on a charging station? Or do you just have to, separate yourself from the energy for some time?
I have no idea.
What's the deal?
Honestly,
what's the deal with charging?
I don't know. I don't know what it does. Maybe, honestly, I don't know what it means.
You don't know?
I want to know. I want to look into it. I want to do that shit. But I haven't gotten there yet.
Do you know what crystal that your server was talking about? Was it like pink?
I know it was white, and it was
white.
like, it was like a little bit white, but like kind of clear. But hers was like a little bit more opaque, and she was talking about how that was interesting, how like some of them you can see through and some of them are milkier, and that has a difference in how they react and blah blah blah. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what it means, but I like it.
There's a whole study to this thing.
Oh, it's huge.
It's huge.
And everyone here loves it. And I love that everyone loves it.
Who started it?
Who the fuck knows? I don't know.
Who's the first person to be like, this crystal is the shit?
I have no idea.
I'm going to go out and sell it to everybody.
I don't know.
I think it's a marketing scheme by Big Crystal.
Shut up. Get out of here.
I swear to God, we could start a QAnon conspiracy right now, and that shit would catch on. Big Crystal coming to get you.
All right. Well,
crystals aren't real.
That's your opinion. Anyway.
That's your opinion, man.
That's your opinion. All right. Well, this is a long story, and I kind of want to get into it because it's like...
Enough of my babbling.
Yeah. And, it's fine. But anyway. So this one's a fun one. It's
a fun one.
It's like crazy. I mean, they're all crazy, but it's like not as... Well... I don't know what to say. It's hard to like say when they're fun or like whatever.
Just get into it.
Yeah, let's just get into it. All right. Well, this is the Salt Lake City Library hostage situation.
Sounds fun already.
So it's fun.
Count me in.
Count me in.
Yes.
All right. So we are taking it back to March 1994. So there was a Tibetan ceremony going on at the Salt Lake County Library, and basically it was just like a Tibetan ceremony where they like make a mandala. How do you say it? Mandala? Is that like
I think
super
mandala
white? How
is
I said
correct.
But yeah, so they make them like really intricate like artwork, but out of sand, like different colored sand.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's super
That
cool.
is so cool. And
Yeah.
at the end, they just wipe it away.
Yeah, and it takes so goddamn long. Like, one of the librarians who was talking about it, she was like, you could watch for like 20 minutes and he could only cover like a square inch or like something crazy like that.
Wow.
So yeah, that was what was happening at the library. It was like big news. Everyone was excited about it. They wanted to see it. So Michael Greer and his wife Judith were at the library watching the completion of the ceremony because it was like just about to finish and everyone was like wanting to be there.
Hyped.
Yeah, we were all hyped.
Hyped for
I
sand.
say we because I was there.
Yeah, obviously.
So
We're there in spirit.
yeah, so Michael Greer and his wife Judith were there, and then Gwen Page was also there. She was a children's librarian at the time, so she was working. And
I'm sorry, I've lost you. Please recap the characters.
okay, so Michael Greer is an important character, and Gwen Page is an important character. So Gwen Page was a children's librarian at the time, and she was working. So she was in the shelves and like kind of just stocking up books or whatever, putting putting books back in the shelves.
Boom.
As librarians do. And so one of her coworkers comes over to her in the shelves and she's like, you're gonna miss it. You gotta come watch the end of this ceremony. Like, come now. And so she's like, okay. And so, yes, Alex is raising his hand.
Yes, I don't
What's
know.
up?
I didn't want to cut you off. Who's Michael Greer?
He's just someone who's a hostage later. So he's just,
But, like,
he was there.
Is he there? Like,
Yeah,
why is he there?
He was watching the completion of the ceremony with his wife, Judith. I just mentioned him
Okay.
because he's important later.
Okay.
And I'm setting the scene, you
Okay.
know?
I'm
He's
sorry, I
there.
just, like-
Oh, no, you don't have to apologize. He's there. His wife's there. Gwen Page is in the shelves. That's who we know right now.
Okay.
So she's walking over to the, to this, like, this gathering of people watching. And she notices a man who's, walking around the library, and he looks a little bit spooky. Like, he's pretty disheveled, and he's like kind of pacing, and he looks like he's got like, you know, bags under his eyes. He looks like not like kind of a spooky character. So
Spooky.
yeah, so he walks up to just some other man standing in the crowd. This like spooky guy walks up to this other man and hands him a manila envelope. And basically he tells the man to take it and to mail it to the newspapers and to have a nice life. He's like, get out of here, go mail this to the news. He then jumps on the table with, in one hand, he has a curling iron in one hand, and then in the other hand, he has a gun pointed at the crowd. And he screams at everyone that they need to get down and stay where they are. So he then explained to the crowd.
Sorry.
What's
I
up?
understand the gravity of the situation. Why the curling iron?
You don't jump the gun. I'm getting there. So
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining him be like, get on the fucking ground, and he just starts curling his hair while holding all these people at gunpoint.
oh my god. Yeah, well, that's not what it was. It was
I'm sure
much
that's
more
not what it was.
much
but
more
that is
sinister
the visual
than
I'm
that.
getting now.
Sure, I understand that it's a silly visual, and
Please now ruin that visual for me.
sure. So he explained to the crowd that he's got a bomb, and that the dead man switch was a curling iron that he was holding in it, that he was holding open. So you know how, like, do you know what a curling iron, like, how it works?
I mean, I assume that you like press it between your hair and like that, like it heats up your hair, and then you just,
Yeah. So there's some curling irons
pull
where you
through
just like wrap your hair around it and it's just one wand, but then there's other ones that have like a clamp on it, and so
you pull the clamp
and you
down.
hold the clamp
so he's
like
pulling the clamp
Yeah,
down.
so he's
and if he
opening-
lets go, it blows.
correct.
Boom.
So he's holding open this curling iron in the other hand, and he explains that it's the dead man switch, and if he were to let go of it, it would explode. So he said that if anyone moved, he would let go of the switch and kill himself and everyone in there. So Gwen Page said that you could feel like how unstable he was, and it was very clear that he was not bluffing. Like, he was very angry and very scary and like was not fucking around. So he was, you know, obviously very angry and screaming at everyone to turn around and to face him. But at the same time, he got really mad when people were looking at him. So he screamed at them to like look at the ground. And then noticed that, so he then noticed that the man who he initially gave the envelope to was still in the crowd. So he told the man to leave and to mail the letter. So Gwen said the children's section of the library, what's up?
So imagine being that guy. You got a free pass.
I know. He's like, get out of here. Go mail this. Have a nice life. Spooky.
Wow.
Yeah. So Gwen said that the children's section of the library had glass windows. And this was a gigantic library. I mean, at least from how they were explaining it, they were like talking about all the different sections and the different floors. There were like escalators. There were like hundreds of people in this library at this point.
Really?
So, so she said that through the glass windows was the children's section, and I guess the people in the different sections of the library didn't know what was going on because it was so big that like they didn't hear it. So she I guess got someone's attention and like held up her hand in the shape of a gun, and then held up her hand to her ear in the shape of a phone, trying to signal them to like call the police and that there was someone with a gun in the library. So because it was a Saturday, the sheriff's office was almost completely closed, and the only person there was Lloyd Prescott. So Lloyd was actually only there. He wasn't even supposed to be there that day. I think he had like a training session that he was supposed to like teach or something. So he was there just by chance. And so he taught police officers to perform well on duty, and he would teach them like tactics and laws and, you know, all the things, whatever. So he was in the back on the computer when someone who managed to escape the library came in and told Lloyd that there was a man in the library with a bomb. So he called Salt Lake City PD, and they informed him that they were already called and they were on their way. So Lloyd told them that he would go over to the library himself to see what he could do, because it was like right next door. So he was like, I'm just going to go over there myself and see if I can do something about this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So do not go in by yourself with no backup.
Well,
Does he do it?
Yeah, he felt that it was his duty to protect the people, and he's honestly like a good guy. So
I'm sure he is, but I'm just thinking like, dude, you don't know what you're walking into.
That's true.
Only one guy.
But you know, as a sheriff,
he doesn't give a fuck.
Lieutenant. Yeah,
he's into it.
He's like, it's my job.
Shit.
I'm gonna get in there and
save some trouble.
Right. So he runs across the street to the library, and all he knew was that there was a man with a bomb on the second floor. So as he was trying to make his way up the staircase, or it was actually an escalator that was turned off, and everyone was like rushing out. So hundreds of people are rushing out, and he's trying to like make his way up this like just rush of people trying to come at him the other way. And so a bunch of people stopped him, and they were like, don't go in, there's a man with a gun. And he was like, it's okay, I'm the police. And so he actually ran into the man who had the envelope, and the man was like, there's a man with a gun and a bomb, and he's up there, and he's like, it's okay, I'm the police. And he's like, he gave me this letter to mail to the police. And he's like, okay, give it to me. So Lloyd takes the envelope from this man and then goes up to the second floor to like find this bomber man.
I don't know, do you read it first?
Well, he said he wanted to, but he didn't have time. He was like, I didn't have time to open it and read it. I had to just get there. Because he said he knew that he was like starting to take hostages, and as soon as that door closed, it was going to be closed, and there was no one getting in there, you know?
Right, that's a good point.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Lloyd's making his way upstairs. Meanwhile, the man is screaming at certain people to get into the conference room that was like off of the room that they were in. Because he was taking hostages. So Michael Greer, unfortunately, made eye contact with him while he was like picking people. And so he like pointed at him, and he was like, you go. And so he had to like, and he didn't pick Judith, Michael's wife. He just picked Michael. So Michael had to like get up and leave his wife and like go be a hostage. And it was like they talked about this moment and how it was like all that they could think about was like love and whatever, but it was also so terrifying because it's like, am I gonna die? Like, is this the last time I'm gonna see you? So like,
yeah,
super crazy. So his wife Judith grabs his wrist to try to stop him, but he knew he had to go, and so he did. And so the man began picking people one by one to go into the conference room. He then told Gwen that he wanted her to go and count 16 people because he wanted 16 hostages. So Gwen goes over into the conference room where there was actually a meeting going on, and they didn't know what was happening. So she goes in and tells them that there's a man with a gun and a bomb, and she's supposed to count out 16 hostages for him to have. And so these people immediately get up and start rushing out of the room because there's a back door to the conference room. So they're like rushing out. And most of the people made it out. But at the very last moment, this man comes to the door and he's pointing the gun at everyone. And he's like, shut the door. Everyone stay in here. And so he's pissed that there's not 16 people in there. And Gwen basically has to be like, you have enough. This is enough. And so she like kind of puts her foot down and she's like, she
lays down the law.
Yeah. So he's like screaming.
Gwen.
He's like, I wanted 16. And like Gwen's just like, you have enough, because she's a badass.
It's like, you have enough, dickhead.
Yeah. So he then told Gwen that he needed a phone, and she told him that there was one at the reference desk. And so he told her to go get it. And if she wasn't back in 15 seconds, someone was going to die. So
she's got 15 seconds to find a phone.
Yeah.
In 94?
Yeah. She said there was one at the reference desk, but it's a big library. So she has to like run and get it and then make it back in time.
Yeah. Does Gwen do some track and field training? Like,
she made it. She made it back in time.
Lives depend on this shit.
Yeah. So she makes it back into the conference room with the phone. And so it's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but he didn't kill anyone at that moment yet. So
it's like, I'm sure she, like, in that moment channeled her inner librarian. It's like telling people to shut the fuck up for 10 years.
Yeah.
Just like let it all out.
Yeah, I know. She's like, you have enough.
You have enough.
Stop it. And shh.
And you owe a late fee, okay?
Yeah. So right as Gwen gets back into the conference room with the phone and they're about to shut the door, Lloyd comes in. He's the sheriff, so you remember. Or the lieutenant? I don't know the difference.
He's the police.
He's the police. So Lloyd comes in pretending to be the man that he gave the envelope to. And so he comes in and he like acted as if he needed to ask him a question. He's like, what do you need me to do with this? And so the bomber's like, the fuck? Like, I told you to go mail it. Why aren't you gone? And so
it's like, mail it to who?
To the newspapers. He said that.
Which newspapers?
I guess whatever newspaper.
There you go. There
yeah.
You go.
So that's what Lloyd used, basically.
Great tactic by Lloyd.
Yeah. And so Lloyd said since there was no way to safely take a shot at him, he knew he had to go into the conference room with everyone. So the bomber got really mad again and said he wanted it mailed. And Lloyd turned around to a lady who was about to enter the room as well, handed her the envelope, and then shut the door in her face. Because he was like, I don't want anyone else coming in this room. I want Endis here.
Oh,
so
Lloyd...
He passed it off.
Lloyd basically...
saved her life.
Is saving her life, but also sacrificing himself.
Well, yeah. Yes.
Damn.
So, I mean, he wanted to be, like, on the inside because he was dressed in plain clothes and, like, wanted to be, like...
But he has a gun.
Yes. Like, he wanted to, like, be the ally to the police and, like, to the negotiators and whatever.
Right. Smart Lloyd.
Yeah, so he closed the door in this lady's face and hands her the envelope, and like he's like, that's enough. So then blah blah blah. So Lloyd, like I said, was wearing a pair of slacks, a golf shirt, and a regular jacket. So when the man asked who Lloyd was, you're gonna like this, Lloyd said he was an accountant.
No way.
Nobody asks you questions when you say you're an accountant. So he said he was an accountant because he didn't want to say that he was the police. He didn't have any identifying, things that would show that he's the police.
Hilarious.
Other than
just
his
gun.
Such
a camouflaging career.
Right. So he had a gun, but his gun was concealed by his jacket.
Amazing.
So, and the other hostages.
Sorry. Did you say it was March?
March.
Where are we again?
Salt Lake City.
So we're in Utah.
Yes.
So it's cold.
Cold, yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What a great time of year to take hostages.
It's the perfect time, as
right.
they say. So none of the other hostages knew that Lloyd was a cop either, and they just thought he was crazy that he was willing to go into this room. Yeah.
Nobody else is gonna just wait.
Right. So the situation with Lloyd coming into the room really shook up the bomber, and he told Lloyd that if a police officer came into the room, a lot of people were going to get shot, and Lloyd would be the first one. So
damn. Well, that's too bad that an accountant has entered the room.
Right. So after that, he told everyone to sit down around the conference table. And then, so, picture this, he's at the head of the table, everyone sits down, and then they're all facing him. And again, he has this weird thing where he doesn't want anyone looking at him. So then he starts screaming that everyone has to turn their chair around and keep their eyes away and blah, blah, blah. So everyone turns their chair around and they're all facing the walls now. And so he then had Michael Greer take the things out of his backpack and put them on the table, including the bomb. So he had to carefully take out this little rectangular box and place it on the table in front of him. So he still has the gun in one hand and the curling iron dead man switch in the other, and now the bomb is on the table in front of him. And so the bomb was a Claymore device, which is a curved rectangular bomb that has explosives on the back and ball bearings in front of it, and when the explosives are ignited, it blows them out, which is what can cause major injury. So it's just pieces of...
The ball bearings are the bullets.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, I'm very aware of claymores from Call of Duty. I'm very experienced with them.
Great.
Particularly placing them behind me while I'm camping.
Right. So the unfortunate thing about this situation is that it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so does this one have a sensor? So if somebody waves their hand in front of it, it blows?
No, the dead man switch, the curling iron. So if
that's the only thing that would set it off?
Right. So my next bullet point says, Lloyd explained that the dead man switch has two pieces of wire that he stripped at the ends and used duct tape and rubber bands to hold them in place on either side of this clamp. So if he let go of the clamp, the two ends of the wire would touch and it would make the bomb go off. Does that make sense?
God damn it.
Yeah. So he also explained that if the bomb did go off, it was strong enough to very seriously injure or kill everyone in that room. So the bomber asked Gwen what time they got into the room, and she told him it was around 9:50 a.m. And he wanted to know that...
Oh, this is in the morning?
Oh, it's in the morning. He said, wake up, get my coffee, and take some hostages. That's what he said.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So
usually I haven't even had my coffee by 9:50 a.m.
I know. He was up and at 'em. So he wanted to know because he wanted to set his timer for 72 hours. That was his cutoff. So he had everything he needed to sustain this situation for that amount of time. He had cord, he had a knife, he had extra batteries and duct tape. For the bomb and keeping up with that. So he had the hostages barricade themselves into the conference room using a piece of rope to tie the door shut. They used tables to, barricade the door, and they shut the blinds. And he instructed everyone to keep their eyes down and to not look at him. So at that point, he told the hostages that his name was Clifford Draper. And up until then, obviously, no one knew who he was. And he was a paranoid schizophrenic who had been off of his meds for a really long time. He lived right up the street from the library and for some time worked at the Salvation Army thrift store as a bell ringer. And he was fired because as he was ringing this bell, he put a sack over his head with a small eye hole in the front of it. And he just peered out at people. He was just really creepy. He put this weird sack over his head and would just
with
peer
one
out.
Eye?
Yeah, with one little hole for the eye. So
right,
they were
with the sack,
they
Cliff.
were creepy. Like I said, spooky dude, spooky guy.
Yeah.
And so he was approximately 35 years old, and when he was 17, his father put him in the Navy, and something happened to him there, which made him leave a completely different person. And he had multiple run-ins with the police and developed a real hate for law enforcement. That's just a little background on who Clifford Draper is.
So, what was the thing in the Navy that turned him off?
I couldn't find that, but it was something happened. He had a real hatred for the military and for the Navy, and that was one of some of his demands were he needed to be compensated for his time, whatever. We're gonna get into it.
Was he Was he dishonorably discharged? And then I'm like
he was kicked out, so I'm assuming something.
I'm assuming this is the U.S. Navy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he then gave Gwen the phone and told her to call the police and tell them what's going on. So she called 911 and told them, "Hello, my name is Gwen Page. I'm a librarian and I've been taken hostage with 9 other people." And then she told Draper that the 911 operator wanted to connect him with the negotiator. That sent him into a just fit of rage, and he started screaming at her to hang up. He made it very clear that he was not willing to negotiate at all, and he had his demands, and that was it. He then made Gwen give the phone to Michael and told him that he was now the new telephone man. So Draper gave Michael the number to the local radio station and told him to call and demand that they put him on the air. So Michael calls Z93, and the girl that was working at the station that morning was actually just a part-time, like, disc jockey DJ. So she was
Could you
not
fucking imagine?
Yeah, just
You're just trying to. Was this what 94?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you're playing some hits. You're trying to play some classics,
It's
like
classic
you're just
rock.
Trying
Yeah.
to play some Beatles.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
You get a fucking hostage call.
Yeah, so she answered the
Oh my
phone
God.
when Michael called, and he told her that he was a hostage, and Draper wanted to make some demands, and she thought it was a prank call and said, "I don't have time for this," and hung up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Good for her, kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, not great. So
yeah, maybe should have questioned that decision.
Right. So, right as she hangs up, she realizes that she could have made a really big mistake and calls the program director who was out to brunch that morning. So, Trisha was, I don't remember, I didn't write down her last name, but her first name was Trisha, and she was the program director, and she said in her interview that she had agreed to go out to brunch that morning with her friend under the condition that she would leave her cell phone at home, since she was always getting calls and it was really annoying. So...
Oh, no way.
But...
It's like she's having mimosas.
Yeah. Well, so... But she did end up taking her
The
phone. With her that morning, and thank God she did, because in the middle of brunch, the part-time girl at the station called her and told her about the weird call she received. So Trisha said it was really normal to get prank calls at the radio station, and that they were trained to tell them to piss off and just hang up and not let it interfere with the show. So that's what the part-time DJ was doing. But Trisha said in this instance she had a really bad feeling that it was real and left brunch early. So on her way to the Z93 station, she found out that it was in fact real. So she's on her way.
Damn.
Yeah. So meanwhile, in the conference room, Draper told everyone to write down on a piece of paper their name and their next of kin as a contact person. So all
Wow.
of these people, yeah, heavy stuff. So all these people are passing around this like notepad, writing down a person to call if they're killed, and everyone knows like that's exactly what they're doing. And it's like, could you imagine being in that room and like having to write down your next of kin's name?
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make light of the situation. It's just like, I imagine this is like your icebreaker for this hostage situation.
Oh my God.
Everybody say your name and next of kin. Start with you over here, Trisha.
Oh my God. Yeah, not quite. But so that's what he had them do. And so when the pad got to Lloyd, he wrote down Lloyd Prescott and then just wrote divorced, because he said that Salt Lake City isn't very big, and everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people knew who he was, and he wanted them to know that they had an ally on the inside. So the SWAT team were making long-term preparations as well as a plan for a hostage rescue if things got bad. Basically like thinking about if the hostages needed food or water or medical attention. And that is actually something that comes up, the medical attention. There was a woman who was being held hostage. Her name was Sue Allison, and she was a diabetic who needed insulin 5 times a day. So...
Oh.
Yeah.
Shit.
So she didn't bring any with her to the library because she didn't anticipate being there.
Anticipate the whole hostage situation.
Yeah, you don't wake up and think, maybe I should bring it just in case I'm held hostage in a conference room. Like, hello? So, yeah.
Shit. She's just trying to watch some sand.
Yeah.
You know, that's all we really wanted this
All we
morning.
wanted to see was some
fucking
colorful sand, damn it.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Plowing ahead.
Plowing ahead, baby. So like I said, she didn't bring any because she didn't anticipate being there for longer than like an hour or two. And so when she tells Draper this, he gets super pissed because that's a running theme with him, that she doesn't have any with her, and pointed the gun at her head. And so Lloyd is in a really tough position because he said he wasn't going to let him kill her, but if he shot Draper and then he let go of the dead man switch, it could kill everyone. So he's stuck in this like age-old...
Wait, so Lloyd is holding the dead man switch currently?
No. Draper is always holding the dead man switch. He's always holding the curling iron and the gun.
Okay.
Unless he like briefly puts the gun down or he changes hands.
Just even if he shoots her, if you shoot him and he lets go, like everyone dies, including you.
That's what he was saying. He was like, I was in this, age-old dilemma of would I rather have one person be killed or 10, So, but luckily for Lloyd, that didn't happen. So, Lloyd suggested that he let Sue Allison go, but he was not entertaining that idea. And so the others in the room said Sue Allison's voice was really shaky and she looked pale and she was just getting worse by the minute.
Yeah. No shit. Hello, this woman hasn't had insulin and she's a fucking hostage.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I would already be pale and shitting my pants.
Right.
Let alone lack of a need for insulin 5 times a day.
Right. So Draper, still pointing the gun at her head, moves it closer to her face and used the back of his hand to feel her forehead. He said that she felt all right to him, so he thought that she was screwing with him. He said...
Right, because lack of insulin induces fever.
Right.
You dumb shit.
Right. So he told her that he had an uncle who was diabetic, so he believed that she wasn't telling the truth about the severity of her situation. He was like, you're fine. And so after this incident, Draper tells everyone that they are going to strip down to their underwear. And so this is just a very random thing that he tells them to do. So he's like, everyone strip down to your underwear. And so this woman who's being held hostage, obviously, turns around because they're all facing the wall, not looking at him. So she turns around, faces him, and she's like, I am not doing that. And so all of them are
She's like, I would rather die.
Yeah. So all of them are like, yeah, we're not doing that. And then Draper goes, all right, well, everyone take off your jackets. If I can't get your underwear, you better just take off your jacket.
It's like, well, that was a quick negotiation,
right?
Wasn't it? So we're already negotiating.
I guess. I mean, just within the room, but yeah,
damn.
That was really
I
funny.
bet everyone... I can't imagine that moment. Who was the one who said that she wouldn't do it?
I don't know her name, but she just turned around.
Could you imagine like this extremely strong-headed woman and just being like, I am not fucking doing that right now, and everyone's like, yeah, I don't want to do that either. Like, fuck you.
Yeah. So yeah, he's like, everyone take off your jacket. And so he instructed Gwen to collect everyone's jackets and put them in the corner. So, if you remember, the only thing concealing Lloyd's gun is his jacket. So as Gwen is making her way around the table, and taking everyone's jackets, Lloyd, makes a very quick glance and shakes his head really subtly at her, and she catches on and walks right past him. So he then turns to Draper and basically is like, I'm really cold. Can I keep my jacket on? And he's like, no, everyone take off your jackets. You blah, 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 you put it in the corner, blah. So he's freaking out. That's a quote, by the way. So blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So he's like, okay. And he stands up and he takes off his jacket really slowly. And he basically pulls out his shirt tails and covers his gun with his shirt tails.
And Cliff doesn't notice?
No. He doesn't notice because he's turned his back to him because they're all facing the walls. So his gun is obviously is in the front of his body. Right. And so he just pulls out his shirt tails and covers it with that. So Draper tells everyone that his demands have been given to the newspaper, and until they're met, they're going to stay in that room. And so he gave everyone a copy of his demands to read. And so Gwen said it was very clear from his writing that he was very mentally ill. And he was really upset that he'd been thrown out of the military and wanted payment for the time he thought he would have served, which was about 20 years. So he wanted payment in cash, gold, and platinum. And he also wanted some like military doctor to like come in, and I don't know exactly what it was, but he wanted payment, and he was not going to budge.
Wait, he wanted payment in medical attention from a military
No, he wanted
doctor?
payment in cash, gold, and platinum, but he also wanted some doctor to come in for some reason. And he also wanted to be flown to New Zealand with the hostages as like collateral. He's like, I want you to fly me there with the hostages and then let me go. So those were, and he was not willing to negotiate, which is always great.
I mean, could you do Hawaii? Could you do Guam maybe?
Right.
Like, New Zealand's a little far, bud.
It's a little far. That's a long plane ride.
Could you imagine being that pilot?
No.
No.
So he began hearing sounds outside and told Gwen to look out the window and tell him what she saw. And so she said that there were police outside, and he demanded that Michael Greer get them on the phone and demand that they get the cops away. Otherwise, everyone will die. And so, meanwhile, at Z93, Trisha notified the police that he had been calling in to the station to try and get put on the air. So he then called back to the station and demanded he be put on the air or everyone dies. And so this time Trisha was on the phone, and she said she was asking like to the other part-time girl who was on the phone with the police. She's like, can I put him on the air, pretty much? And the girl was like, no, the cop said you cannot put him on the air. And she was like, well, in my situation, I am not going to let 10 people be murdered because I'm not going to put him on the air. So if he's going to kill them, I'm going to put him on the air. But she's like, I'm going to try one thing and see if this works. So she told Draper that she's really sorry, but the button to put him on the air was broken, and the engineer who had to fix it wasn't going to be able to come in until Monday. And he bought it.
And he bought it?
He bought it. He was like, damn it. He's
wow.
like, he literally was
Honestly, what a great move by her.
I know. So smart.
And it worked.
It worked.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's like, I totally would have put him on the air if it didn't work, but I'm just going to try this one thing. And then he gets really pissed off,
really
obviously.
Is like, when in doubt, blame the fucking engineers.
Yeah.
Like, they suck anyway.
Screw you, guy. But so basically he's like, you have 72 hours, and hangs up. So he had Michael call her back and read her the list of the 10 hostages as well as their contact person, so that when Draper killed them, she could notify their families. So after he reads off the names, Trisha asked to speak to Draper, and so she asked him what she could play for him on the radio, because she wanted to calm him down. And she said she did this in like a normal voice, like how she would talk to any kind of listener. And she said that he got kind of happy and like slightly calmed by this question. And what he asked for was more deep cuts and not the same stuff they play all the time. So, I mean, that's what deep cuts are. And then also less commercials. So like very, very reasonable request.
Just a man of the people. Just like, less commercials, Trish.
Just like not the same shit you
cool
play.
It on the commercials.
Yeah,
I don't
just
need to
like
be hearing
less
about
commercials.
fucking McDonald's today.
Right.
That's enough.
And so she's like, I can do that, no problem. And and she's like, I wanted to do this because, no matter who you are, if your favorite band or song comes on, you're calm. You're even a little bit calmed by it, or like a little happy, like it brightens your mood.
She's got good instincts.
A little bit. She's got good instincts, that lady.
So deep cuts by who?
No, so deep cuts meaning like don't play the same shit you always play.
Oh, so he did not give out a specific song.
I think he did. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't like a specific song. It was like play these bands, but it was like classic rock station.
Like Led Zeppelin. Classic rock.
Whatever. Aerosmith.
Red Hot.
Sure. So this went on for a little while, this whole situation. They had a radio in the room. Obviously, she's playing the songs for him. It was helping, I guess, a little bit for him and for the hostages. But Sue Allison, the diabetic, was getting really sick at this point, and she was shaking and getting lightheaded, and she was sweating and going in and out of consciousness. And she was going into diabetic shock. Or no, that was the fear, was that she could go into diabetic shock or go into a coma, and if she didn't get insulin soon, she was going to die. And Lloyd said, so Lloyd pointed this out to Draper, and he said, if she didn't get insulin, she's going to die in there. And Draper's response was, maybe she will. Maybe we all will. And he didn't give a shit. He was like, whatever. Draper then joked that maybe he'd trade her out for one of the cops because he's always wanted to kill a cop. He said this to Lloyd, who is a cop. So. Wow. Yeah.
Good move on the accountant.
Right.
Ruse.
Nobody asks you questions when you say you're an accountant. Mm-hmm. So, since Draper was unwilling to talk to the police, and
I'm sorry. At what time is this? So, like, how long has this woman been without insulin? That she's going into diabetic shock, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know how at this point what the time was, but this whole ordeal takes about like a little over 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours. So it's a couple hours. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I don't really know the difference between like type 1 and type 2 diabetes, but like diabetics are literally 6 hours away from death if they don't get insulin.
I don't think that's every diabetic person, but I think hers was really severe, and she was the type of person that needed to take it 5 times a day. I don't think that's the norm. Then again, I could be wrong about that. I have no idea. But she needed that to survive. Wow. Yeah. So
that's awful.
Yeah. So since Draper was unwilling to talk to the police, and specifically the negotiator, they decided the best way to get to him was to put the negotiator at the radio station, since he was periodically calling in and talking to them. So Tricia showed the list of hostages and the next of kin to Phil Kirk, who was the hostage negotiator, and he immediately knew who Lloyd was. He said he's known him for years, and he said if there were any police officer that were in there, they'd want it to be Lloyd Prescott. So
amen.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, Lloyd.
Yeah. So Draper had Michael call the police outside, and he was yelling and getting really impatient that his demands hadn't been met yet. And they weren't getting anywhere with him because he wasn't willing to bend even a little. So they were just kind of stuck in the situation. Like, the police couldn't do anything because they didn't want to, aggravate him and have him let go of this dead man switch. And he wasn't willing to negotiate. So it was tough. So Tricia said she was really concerned with playing the right songs because she didn't want to set him off. I mean, if you think about it.
I'm sorry. But could you imagine being like, if I choose the wrong classic rock song that's like too normal, too mainstream?
This is the most high pressure on the aux type situation.
It was like, I felt the pressure from the boys,
Right, yeah. You don't want to play the wrong song at the party or the pregame. But think about Trisha.
You kill the vibe, but you could kill people.
Yeah, you could kill the hostages. Jesus Christ. So she's really concerned with this playlist, and she's trying to pick these songs correctly. And she accidentally played U2's version of Helter Skelter by the Beatles, which was a problem because Charles Manson used that song to get his followers to commit murder in 1969. So when she realized that song was playing, she immediately stopped it, which left dead air on the radio. So
it was even worse. Which was she should have just let it go.
Potentially, but she was like, this song, this is like such a scary song, like this could set him off, So she wanted to stop it. So then she left dead air, and she said for a second she was like, what the fuck did I just do? So this set him off a little bit, obviously, because now there's not this just background music. And so he got nervous and he asked Gwen to check out the window again to see if there was anyone out there. And she saw a bunch of SWAT team and police officers, but she told him that there was no one out there because he couldn't see it and she didn't want to set him off even further. So she was like, there's no one out there. And then Trisha went back to playing music on the radio, and crisis was pretty much averted at that point. I mean, not averted. There's still so much terrible things going on. But in this...
I have a feeling we're not done yet.
No, we're not done yet. But in this situation, she went back to playing music. It was, as fine as it could be. Right. And Draper called the station again and said she needed to play the songs they regularly play so that people wouldn't get suspicious. Which is interesting, because why are you concerned about what the public are thinking about when you're literally holding hostages in the library? So, what? But yeah, he called back, and that was the last time that she had heard from him, because he was like, I don't want people to get suspicious. Go back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Wait, Cliff said this?
Yeah, I like that you're calling him Cliff. Clifford Draper. Yeah, Draper. Or Cliff.
I'm going to call him Drapes?
No, you can call him Cliff. I like it. It's just funny. We're on a nickname
Cliff, the
basis.
mentally unstable douche.
Sure, yeah, that's good.
That's where I'm at.
Sure, no, I get that. But so yeah, that's what he did. And so back to Sue Allison, poor lady. She was in really bad shape, and started to go into shock. And Draper let them lie her down on a table because she couldn't even sit up. She was really bad. And then things went really downhill fast after that. So Draper had been holding open this curling iron the entire time. And every time one of his hands would get tired, he would have to switch it to the other hand. And so this, constant changing of hands loosened the wires, because it's just a curling iron with duct taped and rubber band wires.
So as long as they don't touch, it's fine.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I have a very limited knowledge of bombs, and by that I mean almost none.
But you were saying that the clamp is open.
Yes.
And if the clamp pulls together and the wires touch,
it'll detonate.
Then it blows.
Yeah.
So if the wires slip, then it's pretty much just shoot the fucking guy.
Yeah, I guess. But Draper saw that the wires were coming undone, and obviously he brought stuff to fix it, to maintain this 72-hour hold. So Draper told Michael that he had to help him fix the bomb. And so he had Michael rip off small pieces of duct tape so that he could secure the wires again. And so he's just duct taping these wires back and whatever. So Lloyd at this point was just going through every scenario in his head about how he could possibly take Draper out. And he had taken a bomb course and knew that, excuse me, he had taken a bomb course and knew that if people were able to get under the table, there was a good possibility that they would survive the explosion. So Draper is extremely pissed since the police still haven't met his demands, and he tells Gwen to grab some rope and to cut it into pieces so that the hostages can each take a piece, and whoever draws the shortest straw is going to be killed. That way he can show the police how serious he was. So
Lloyd's being holy shit.
I mean, not just Lloyd. He said it in front of everyone.
Lloyd's calculating. He's like,
right.
Am I shooting him or
right.
Is everyone dying?
Right. And so Gwen has to get up and walk to his backpack and get the rope and cut it into pieces and then hand it out. And then whoever draws the shortest piece is going to be killed. So, it's a really, really heavy. Yeah, I guess, but I mean, it didn't.
I feel like that's what I would do, and then just literally just buy time by measuring who literally got the shortest string.
Yeah,
that's all you can do.
Well, so she moved really slowly, obviously, because she did not want to do this. So Gwen gets the cord and asks Draper where the knife is so that she can begin cutting pieces. And right as Draper bends down into his backpack to get the knife, he puts his gun kind of down a little bit to reach into his backpack, and in that split second, Lloyd stands up. I just lost my place. Damn it. Lloyd stands up and he draws his gun and screams, "Sheriff's Department, everyone down." And so everyone gets down, and like Draper tries to stand up and like point his gun at him to shoot him, and Lloyd shoots him in the chest like 4 times. So everyone, is obviously on the ground. That way, if the bomb goes off, hopefully it wouldn't explode. Luckily for everyone in there, it didn't go off, because the pieces of duct tape that he used to, like, quote unquote fix the bomb covered one of the wires, and so it didn't go off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So Draper gets shot multiple times in the chest, and he drops it, but it doesn't go off. So at that moment, the SWAT team were right outside the window and were like about to go into the room anyway. So as they heard gunshots, they like shot out the window and like jumped into the room. Draper's on the ground, and he's got, he's shot a bunch of times, and Lloyd is the one with the gun in his hand. So he's like talking to the SWAT team, and he's like, I'm the good guy. This is, he's the bomber. And I mean, they were already shown a picture of Lloyd, and they were like, this is our guy, don't hurt him. So
good.
Yeah, so they didn't hurt him.
I can't imagine, like, what would you fucking say? He was like, it's not what it looks like.
Right, pretty much. And that's what he had to do, because he's the one with the gun in his hand.
But like, yeah.
Yeah. So they successfully get everyone out of the conference room. They get some sugar into Sue Allison, and then they escort everyone out of the library. Draper died on the way to the hospital, so that was that. Boo-hoo. On him. Yeah. And so when they tried to disarm the bomb, it did detonate, and all of the little projectiles that Lloyd was afraid would go off and do serious damage did go off and put holes in the walls and the ceiling, which basically meant that he was right, that anyone who was below the table would have been safe.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when he's shooting him, he's above the table, though?
Yes.
So he's dead.
I mean, yeah.
More than likely he's dead.
More than likely he would be very seriously injured or whatever, or die.
I'm just, like, really trying to picture, like, where he's at. If he's, like, fully, like, standing up fully and, like, shooting, or if he's, like, kind of crouched down, trying to, like, just stay under the table while he shoots him.
Well, he stood up because he wanted everyone to, like, get down.
Damn.
He stood up and was like, "Sheriff's Department, get down." And everyone did. No one even hesitated.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wait, and then the bomb detonated when they were...
Disarming it.
Mm-hmm. Somebody was disarming it.
Yes, but I didn't see anything that was like it caused damage to a person. I think it was just like they said that it did go off, and it did. So I'm sure they were doing it in a way where they weren't going to be harmed, or I don't know.
Were they using a robot or something?
I don't know.
Or did somebody get blown the fuck up?
I think that would have been in the article if that happened, but...
You would imagine.
Yeah. So I don't think that happened, but basically...
but we sent an intern in, and like...
we sent in the part-time really disc jockey.
It just really doesn't matter.
Yeah. But so basically all that meant was that Lloyd was correct, that if they were below the table, they would have been safe, which is cool. And yeah, Lloyd Prescott is 100% like the hero in this story, and he...
Yeah, no shit.
100,000 put himself in harm's way, and saved all of their lives. And another little tidbit of information, Gwen Page still works at the Salt Lake Library. And
no way. She's not gonna deter me from working at this library.
in this interview, she was like, well, in situations like this, you can choose to be the victim, or you can choose to live your life, and I chose to live my life, and I still work at the library because I love it there. And
Amen, Gwen. Yeah.
Hell yeah, Gwen. Yeah, she and Lloyd said without Gwen and like Michael, he said it was also because of them that this worked out, and like because of all the hostages.
Gwen's like, yeah, there's nobody out there.
Right.
You're like, yeah, it's fine.
No, it's fine. Let's just keep it calm.
It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the situation, and that is the story.
Damn.
Crazy. It's like a hostage situation at a library. I don't know. I guess like...
I'm just really glad no one died except for...
Draper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cliff.
Sure. Our friend Cliff.
Cliff ripped.
Yeah.
All right, but like, he deserved it.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't great. He was severely mentally ill and off of his meds and not doing well. They said when they looked in his apartment, it was, I don't know how they got this information, but they said that there was like a light bulb in his room that he would like stare at, and it would like tell him things. I don't know if they got
the
this
bulb of truth.
I don't know how they got this information though, because he died on the way to the hospital or whatever really soon after this whole situation. So I guess it must have been collected from before in their previous like run-ins with the police, I guess.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Or maybe like somebody like talked to him beforehand. He's like, "Yo, this bulb is telling me shit."
Maybe.
And they're like, "Oh."
Yeah. So he was like severely mentally ill and like not in a good place, obviously. I mean,
yeah, I'd imagine that before you embark on the mission to take hostages and fly all the way the fuck to New Zealand, you might not be in the best mental state.
Right. I feel like someone in a good place in their life isn't taking hostages.
Yeah.
Right.
Usually.
Yeah. Any other thoughts though?
Did he have any crystals?
He should have. It would have cleared out his energy. It would have like helped, I think.
I think it just would have like brought him positive energy.
He could have used like some protective crystals,
Yeah.
Clear out that negative energy.
Yeah. So anything else? I got nothing.
Do you have anything good that happened to you this week?
I got a negative COVID test.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
We love
negativity in this sense.
Yeah. I have a good thing.
Yeah.
Yesterday we had just a feast of a meal, and it was so good, and it was free. And yeah, I was really, really good. And we had creme brulee. We like made creme brulee, which was fun.
I was just about to mention that.
Yeah.
It is surprisingly easy to make.
Yeah, it is.
For those wanting to make it.
Yeah.
All you need literally just like vanilla ice cream and egg yolk.
Yeah. Yolk.
And then you gotta like.
Did you just say yolk?
Yes.
Is that how you
said yolk?
Do you say that?
That is yolk.
You don't say that.
How much more fun is it to say yolk?
I reject
than it is
that.
to say yolk.
Do you hear someone neighing outside? There's someone literally neighing outside.
Some bitch is neighing outside.
We got some funky sounds over here. I don't know if you heard that, but some woman outside just screamed, "You're an idiot!" It's fine. Anyway,
right. Plowing head.
Back to yolk, because fuck that.
What do you say?
Yolk? Egg yolk.
All right, that is no fun, and I reject that.
Okay.
Yolk all day. Vanilla ice cream and yolk. One yolk per creme brulee. You put that shit, the baking pan in water. It's actually kind of a process. But
it is a process.
There's few ingredients, but the process is long. But it's worth it, and it's also really cool because at the end, you basically just like melt sugar in like a pan. Yeah. I mean, if you happen to have a torch, number one, fuck off. I'm done with you. If you have a torch, number one, what's wrong with you? But
well, I
number
mean,
two,
if you smoke weed, people have torches.
All right, fair enough. But for easy, like the way we did it is we just put sugar in a pan, you like melt it, and like that's like the shit that's on top, like the crystallized sugar. Mm-hmm. It's so easy, and it like literally the sugar melts so fast. Yeah, like I kind of forgot from chemistry class. But
yeah, and it hardens really fast. It was really fun.
It's just like,
but yeah, it was yummy. And that was cool. But I don't know why, but yolk makes my skin crawl, and I'm just gonna move past that. But I just had to tell you because it made me upset. Anyway.
All right, so I will bookmark that and say it as much as possible in the future coming episodes.
Love that. Okay, well, let's plug those socials. So if you want to keep up with the pictures or videos or just links whatever with the cases that I
the
talk
links.
about or Alex talks about. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is nottoday_podcast. If you or anyone you know has an interesting story about survival or true crime or paranormal or anything interesting that you want to tell us about, or some piping hot tea, bitch. If you got tea, oh my God,
I
send
will
us
accept
tea.
that. That would
Alex
be
loves
fantastic.
tea. I love that
I
shit.
love it. We need excitement.
Time,
in this dark time of quarantine. Please give us tea.
Yeah.
Piping hot, preferably.
So our Gmail is notodaypodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at nottodaypodcast. The T on the end of podcast is a 3 because that just makes sense. And yeah, times are crazy. The election is for us tomorrow, and go out there and vote. It counts. And it
really do.
We gotta protect ourselves. We gotta, keep breathing, as we say, and keep our mental health stable as well. So do something nice for yourself this week. Take it easy on yourself. Treat yourself. Make some creme brulee, bitches. That's what
we did.
Good.
It was very healing.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's that. Just keep breathing, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.